Hey, today's March 7th, 2017. I'm continuing practicing with the tuner as I mentioned last week in trying to get familiar and get reacquainted with the spacing of my fingers. And also as I'm practicing the Etudes for second position in Suzuki Cello School Volume 2, the shifting in the second position, in order to get familiar with how much to shift, I want to make sure that I'm shifting to as close as I can to the correct note. So when I shift down to the D on the A string, I want to make sure I have the tuner in front of me in order to verify and confirm that I am in fact in the correct position. In fact, my fingers are in fact far enough down and not too much and not too far down on the A string in order to hit that D. This is a journey in sort of a mini journey in figuring out, how much do I need to shift to go from B to D. That time I was pretty close. Again, B. There it is, there's B. So let's try B to D again. B. A little bit too much. So as I'm playing around with the Etudes for second position and keeping an eye on the tuner and trying to figure out, how much I actually need to shift. Sometimes looking at the fingerboard might help me. If I can find B, there it is. Sometimes looking at the fingerboard might help me. So maybe I don't know, sometimes I'll do that just to make sure that B here the D would have been where my fourth finger would have been. So if I take a look at the fingerboard, B, oops. So I'm playing around with that. Again, this is what I sort of talked about last week, but I want to go ahead and run through the first two segments of Etudes for second position again, and then take a look at what the third segment has to offer. And the third segment is a combination of both the first and the second segments, and it also offers alternative fingerings to use for that first measure. So if we review the first two segments of Etudes for second position, I will explain the commonality between the first two segments and the third segment. Okay, so the first segment starts off with the B, of course. Make sure I have a good grasp of where the B is and make sure I have that correct, because that's ultimately going to be my reference point when shifting. So I'll try this here. The first segment goes B, C sharp, D, B, C sharp, D, E. And then it comes back down D, C sharp, D. One more time. I'm looking at the tuner, I am a bit sharp on a lot of the notes. So let's try this one last time. That time I'm flat. A little closer. And let's go ahead and play the second segment here, which starts off on a B again, but instead of C sharp it goes C natural. Let's make sure we have it correct. The second segment is what I was saying last week, that while I have my second finger on the D, I have to reach backwards to hit that C natural. So this sort of reach back here, I've been sort of pivoting my wrist slightly. So instead of having my fingers more perpendicular with the fingerboard, I'm shifting my hand a bit to allow it to go from this position to sort of this position. This position here allows me to reach forward with that second finger and tuck this first finger back just a little bit in order to reach that C natural. So I have the D here, and then instead of separating it like this, I sort of separate it like this, which makes it a little bit more comfortable, I feel like. So D here. Obviously, I don't want to do that too much, but I noticed that as I'm trying to reach back, I have a tendency to pull back on my wrist such that my finger starts extending this way. So let's move on to the third segment that I was referring to. And third segment has, again, the same notes that I played in the first and second segment, and a little bit different fingering. I'll explain here. It starts off with the B again, and then the second note is the C natural, but instead of using this second finger for C natural as it did in the second segment, I'm going to shift down one finger's worth. So basically, I want my number one finger to be here, where my number two finger would normally be. So this is a very small shift. So B again. I'll do that one more time. I'm gonna come back from B. Let me just find B. And I'm shifting basically to here, here to here, here to here. So I need to figure out and get accustomed to that smaller amount of shift as well as the larger shifts that they have in this etude. So again, make sure I have B. That's a little bit too much. And then I shift down to the D. So the D would be here. Oh, it's actually a little bit further down. So let's try that again. So it goes B, C natural, D, E, and then it goes E, D, C natural, D. Oh. So this second measure in the third segment is very similar to the second segment, in which I have my second finger on the D, and I have to reach back for the C natural. Come back to the D. So, and then to finish off with 3 E's here. So it really just combines a shift down with the reach back. It's quite difficult to try to get used to this, and I feel like this is something that I'm going to need to practice a lot more. And in the next songs coming up in the Suzuki book, they will include some shifts. So I'm sort of trying to put this frame of thought of shifting and working through this etude beforehand to hopefully prepare me for some of those other pieces. Let's do this one more time. And I know I've been going through this over and over, and I'm screeching and it doesn't sound very good, but you know, this is part of the practice and trying to get over this this bit of a hurdle to allow myself to not feel the frustration later on by building the foundation today. Hopefully that's where I'm going to end up. So let's try this one more time here. Let's find the B first. There it is, okay. Let's try it one more time. The last little bit on this, I guess this second page is actually page 7, but the last little bit is tonalization, and this tonalization snippet includes some of the shifts that were introduced in this etude for second position. So let me just see if I can give this a try here. The shifting here is a little bit strange because what I practiced for etudes for second position was all on this A string. So I'm just coming down, shift down, and maybe come back up on this one string. Now, if I were to shift on the D string and then have to come over to the A string, I might be disoriented in terms of where I am on the D string. Did I shift down to second position, and where's the B on the A string after I shifted down on the D string? It's somewhere back here. So that's where this is going to be quite complicated. I'll go ahead and give it a try to see if I can explain this a little bit more. So it starts off on the G string here, G string 4th finger, and hopefully I can play a C here. Pretty close, okay. So it goes C on G4. Then it plays a E on D1. Oh, a little bit flat there. Try that again. And then I want to shift down to to play a G on the D string. So the G would be here. So basically, in first position, I play a C on the G string. Then I come over to the D string. Shift down to play a G. Now, after shifting down on the G string, I need to go to the A string and play a C natural. C natural will be somewhere here. And then let's continue on from there. It comes back down. It goes up from here to a D. And that's where the bit of a shift is. Oh, actually a bit of a reach. So C natural to D. C natural. And then a E. And then coming back to a G on the D string. Shifting back up. So I'm all over the place with this, and it's quite difficult. So, you know, when things get quite difficult and it's not sounding the right way, usually it's time to take out one of the variables, so the bowing, for example, and just stick with pizzicato and see if I can just understand the fingering here. So again, it goes dun 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 dun. Let's try that. There we go, there's the C. It didn't sound right there, so I need to play the G. There it is. One more time from the beginning. A little bit too much of a shift. Dun, 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 dun. It goes dun, dun, the highest one. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so let's try it one time with the bow, the tonalization with the second position shifting. Starts off on the C, so make sure I find that. There it is, so it goes something like this. So my fingers are not very confident on where they actually should be, and I was keeping an eye on the tuner and trying to adjust on the fly. So let me play it one more time, and we'll call it a day here. There's also an alternative fingering for this tonalization, which makes it easier by staying more in the first position without as many shifts. So just real quick, this one goes. And instead of shifting down to play the G in second position, I just go ahead and stay in first position. First position. And then stay in first position on the A string as well. And then here is where I would shift. And then back to first position. I'll go ahead and try to work on this more, and we'll see you next week.